Saturday morning at the shop doing bead locks. New wheel color combo with some 37 Gladiator AT tires. As you can see, I'm still mounting more of these. I got a couple more to do, but I wanted to show you guys the proper way to do bead locks. If you're gonna do them on the garage floor, shop floor, whatever, if you don't have a tire machine. They're not that hard, but there's a few things you can mess up, and there's a few tips and tricks to this whole method of madness. So I just got these wheels back from Swift Powder. They put bolts in every single one of these holes. I just threw one in there so you guys can see. That way they protect the threads when they are sandblasting them and also powder coating. There's definitely, like I said, some tricks. One thing that they also do when they hang them up, so you don't have any wire or any sort of flaws when they powder coat them, is they put this wire through there with a washer. So one of the steps is obviously cut that out and make sure you do not forget your valve stem. If you put these wheels apart, I'm guilty of doing it in the past, but you learn, and it does get a little frustrating and pisses you off, but always put your valve stem in that, put them like somewhere where you can't forget them when you're going through this process. To slide the bead over, I put a little bit of SC1 on the bead. I've already done it here, so no need to apply too much. You definitely want that surface a tiny bit slippery, but not too slippery, because you want that friction on the bead to also hold it on. So don't go overkill. At least that's what I personally do. I'm gonna slide this tire over so you guys can see that go down. Put a little weight in it. Boom, just like that. Next, I'm gonna throw it on my bucket here. So I'm gonna throw her on the old bucket. I think you can see that. Let's see. Oh yeah, you can see the bucket for sure. I try to align the Gladiator and the method logo to where it looks good for pictures. It's a little pet peeve. Again, I've been guilty of not doing that, so it is what it is. When I start and I throw the bead ring on there, Hawaiian blue, sick. When I start this and I throw the bead ring on there, you want to make sure that the tire is sitting down underneath this before you bolt the whole thing down. It can be tricky with a 13.5-inch wide tire on a 7 or 8 inch wide wheel, depending on the wheel you're running. These are 17 by 8s, so you got to squeeze it together. So I'll kind of go through a little bit of the waves on how I do that. So let me get some hardware together and show you that. Grabbing my hardware. This was used hardware. On this hardware, I put one every third hole. That way, when I'm mounting them, I can see the tire going behind that lip that I showed you earlier. Definitely mandatory to make sure that lip is behind there. And that's where a lot of people screw this up, is by not getting that lip on there and just rushing through it and tightening the shit, and then you get a little bit of a bulge in the bead. The bead's not properly seated. It could fuck your investment up and or give you an off-balance tire. And then also, if you want to sell these tires after you use and abuse them, that bead can go onto a standard wheel, not a bead lock, and still be, much safer than it would be if you cut it. These are, again, is used hardware. I didn't have the money to ball out, but Revlock anti-seize. This stuff will end up in your hair and everywhere if you're not careful. In your eyes, it burns, so definitely put anti-seize on your bolts. These wheels, again, in hardware, already have them on there from the past, so that's not something I'm too worried about. Find my gun. So this is the most important step, getting it on the back side of that. I preloaded the tire to where I have to pull it this way to hook it in, to where it makes it easier for me to get the bead on that side. One thing I always try to do is make sure that there's 2 sets of holes in these method wheels. I always try to use the same set of holes until you blow them out, and hopefully you don't. I've yet to blow out a set of holes, so it's possible, but the nice thing about that is it makes the wheel lighter from method, and it gives you a second option in case if that one set of holes gets blown out. But what I always do for my first set of holes is I always line up the valve stem with the hole right there. That way I know it's consistent, and those are the holes that have my anti-seize in them per se. So I'm gonna load this thing down, and I'm gonna get this lip on this side. I guess I should have it spin the right way if I'm trying to put it in the hole. So I'm getting this started, and I'm working it around to where I'm getting this bead tucked up in there. And if not, then I'm putting a little bit of preload onto it to where I'm gonna put it on the ground, and then I'm gonna start beating it down and in there, because that's mandatory. So I'll show you guys this right now. Let's see if you can see this. So now you can see where it stops going in, and you can see where it starts to ride on that edge, which is what you do not want. So I've kind of milked it all the way to with these 3 or 4 bolts until I got to this point. Now I'm gonna hit it with a hammer and a dead blow, call it what you call it, and wherever my other tool went. Seem to have misplaced it in the last like 2 minutes. It's probably under here. Bow. Stupid. So let's see. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to fix my GoPro since it's not right. I'll put it right there. Technical difficulties, whatever. Still going through it. Bow. And I'm gonna tap this girl down and in. And as I do this, now that that's in, I'm going to tighten this bolt and kind of cinch it down. Not too much, but just enough to where it's not going to pop itself back out. Then I'm going to rotate it on my bucket, and I'm going to do that all the way around. So I'm going to time lapse this, and we'll get to the next step. I have the tire around the lip of the beadlock all the way around. Let me turn on my light here. You look up inside of there, and it's tucked up in there with a light snug on the entire beadlock ring. Now, when you're tightening these down, you can see that I only have 1 every 3rd hole. It makes it easy for when you have to tap the lip of the tire down and in, and it folds itself under with a standard pry bar. I use a dead blow because there's times where you do hit your hands and no one's perfect. Let's be real. So When you put this hardware in and you start to tighten this tire down, you always want to do it in a crisscross pattern. So something similar to this nature. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So you get all those snug. Then you start adding hardware, and you always want to torque it like a crisscross pattern and get everything to kind of sink down at the same time, just like you would on like head gaskets or something of that manner. So I'm gonna put the rest of the hardware in. I'm gonna torque this thing in that crisscross pattern. If not, then what you'll notice is your impact socket or your socket itself will start to kind of ride on the edge or the walls of the beadlock ring. You do not want that, because it's basically not allowing the beadlock ring to go down consistently. It's kind of twisting it in a manner that you don't want, and it might put a little bit of a twist on the tire too. So with that being said, I'm gonna get these all torqued down and then torque it and put air pressure in it, and that should be it. So I'm gonna start doing that. You ready, dude?
Oh man, dude, those are hot.
You like them?
Those are spicy.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's almost like somebody has a black light over the top of it.
All right, after I do my perimeter torque, I will, or my initial torque, I come back through and I have my torque wrench set at 20 foot-pounds. And then you just go around. My impact gets it really close. After you do kind of the crisscross pattern, I'll usually go in a circle and get them all pretty consistent with my impact gun. And then boom, just hit each one of these. You'll go around it 2 times, and you fill it up with air, and that's pretty much it. And my phone never stops ringing. And we're doing a dirt bike tube too. Let's see who it is. Oh, yep, look who it is. But after that, I'm gonna fill it up with about 25 pounds of air pressure, adjust accordingly, and that's how you do beadlock. 25 power tank. These things are legit, super easy to work with, but that's a wrap. If you guys are interested in checking out these Gladiator X-Comp ATs, these are an awesome tire with great tread life and no noise on the street, beautiful look to them. They also have a badass MT tire, side-by-side tires in the AT, ATRs, trailer tires. Gladiator makes a wide range. You can find them at shopxcomp.com. If there's anything else you guys are interested in seeing, whether it's on Megalodon, the boat, the Jeep, just everyday stuff, comment and let me know, and I'll try to get to that as I go through the waves on the regular. Over and out, shreddylife.com. If you guys like any of the apparel, boom. This is a simple tee, but yeah, just trying to keep the wheels turning, and shout out to Method and Gladiator for always keeping me laced out. Later, guys.
But you just couldn't bear to see it.